Is this heaven?
No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the Field of Geeks podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 155 of the Field of Geeks podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Juan.
How's it going?
Surviving this craziness.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. I'm anxious to get people back in here to record in person, but I'm just being very cautious about it. So be patient. I'm just trying to, maybe maybe I can get some long cords and we can just record outside away from each other. We got the breeze to blow whatever away, and of course you'll have that noise in the recording, but we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll have to do that. I don't know. It could be interesting. I'm getting my deck rebuilt soon, so we have a lot of space out back, so I could probably just do that. Be interesting, especially for the super unknown. Get that little ambiance, in the background. Could be interesting. But yeah, for those who don't know, Juan and I also do another show called The Super Unknown, and Dave is on that show as well. Yes. So yeah, the premise is we sit around like a campfire, sort of, and we just talk about the mysteries of life. It ranges from true crime to UFOs to just oddness in the world, really. So we will be doing another episode of that very soon, and
also humor.
Yeah.
Like we investigate things, but I would have to say that's probably
for sure
show.
Yes, definitely.
It's not really meant to be taken serious, people. So
Right? Yeah, you gotta have some fun with it. Otherwise, it's just so it's too dire.
Yeah, not every episode like that. I mean, we've had our serious ones.
Yeah, right. We can't obviously joke about some murders and stuff. The other unknowns out there, laughter helps calm the nerves.
Yeah, it does.
Because we're not alone. Ooh, whatever that means. Take it however you want it to. Juan is also relaunching his other podcast, The Power of Knowledge. He's now joined by Paul, who guested on the Super Unknown last time. So yeah, he's a nutritional scientist.
Yes, he is.
Yes, so
he's a smart man.
Yeah, well, you are too. Yeah, you guys both. I'm just like dumbfounded. I'm just like, this is good. I like this. So yeah, I'm editing a lot of that right now. So that'll be launching. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, it's good to be back to record about some geek news. It's been a bit. Today we're gonna quickly celebrate 20 years anniversary of the first XMen movie came out, which was a huge deal back then. It changed how comic book movies were made ever since, really. What were your first memories of that movie, Juan? Were you an X-Men fan? Were you excited?
Oh, I've always been a comic book fan in general, but just seeing everything come to life, Wolverine, I always wanted to know, what was the whole, thing with Wolverine, and, I think Hugh Jackman executed that well, and, I think it gave me a realistic understanding of some powers. Like Rogue, for example,
yes,
is an interesting power because she sucks your life force and she sucks your ability, and just her, how you can do it through text and writing it out on paper, but just understand she can't make physical contact with anyone. She can't.
Right.
So that isolated world within the world, you're in the world, but you can't be really in connection with the world.
Sure. Oh, I remember that scene. I was freaked out. When she was kissing, I can't remember the dude's name, but
a boy.
Yeah, she was excited.
Well, originally she just kissed her boyfriend, her high school boyfriend.
Right.
And he kind of started seizuring.
Yeah, that was intense and it's also sad because she, how that world is you get your powers when you, I guess, hit puberty, sort of. I think that's how it goes. I'm not sure. But she was...
so you usually hit it when you hit puberty.
Yeah.
The X gene tends to activate then.
Right.
And so, That's why the third one's interesting to me.
Because the kid
I
is
guess the kid could be in puberty.
Yeah.
Well, he's called the Cure.
The Cure, yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah.
And basically, he strips you of your powers. So
right.
They want his blood so that they can make,
Yeah, that was
a serum.
That was, I'm not a big Last Stand fan, but there was some interesting scenes in that film. I did like when Beast, I think he reached to say hi or something and his hand turned to human like form.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene, I thought. And you could see his temptation, like I could not look like this anymore. But then he just like accepts his appearance again. A lot of conflict, Rogue's story is tragic for the movie is, 'cause she's young adult and she's ready to see the world pretty much. And she's got it all planned out, like most people try to do. And life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, something like that. Life gives you powers, you become an X-Man. There you go.
Let me ask you this, Josh. Like, if you could choose any power, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't. Invincibility, maybe. I don't know. I don't like to get hurt, so I want to be strong too. So I don't know if that's.
You want to be Deadpool?
No, I don't want his brain. That's for sure. He's a little nutty.
Well, I mean, he can get hurt, but he regenerates.
Yeah. Maybe Wolverine, like strength. I don't know. Does Wolverine and Deadpool kind of have the same powers?
Yes.
Kind of do, don't they? I didn't realize that. Yeah, to an extent. Yeah.
To an extent.
He's got claws.
Wolverine's is like Deadpool's is like actually part curse in the comic.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right.
It's actually given. He's cursed with immortality by Thanos.
Oh man, really? Wow. They need to explore that.
Because Thanos and him have the same love interest. The image of death, the entity of death that's why they would call Thanos the Mad Titan. Whereas how they did it in Infinity War, they called him a madman. They gave Thanos so much justice in Infinity War, which is easily one of my favorite comic book movies.
Kate Blanchett's character from Thor Ragnarok, isn't she death in a way, or is that something? I thought they were going to maybe try to link her to that character.
Oh, Hela? You talking about Hela?
Yeah.
She's not. She's
okay.
Kind of like got her own. It's almost like she has her own dimension of hell or something.
Right.
The Reaper itself is it's like the image of it is a woman who Thanos is in love with, and that's who they were saying like in comics who he's really trying to impress.
Right.
By deleting half of the universe and stuff like that. Well, she falls in love with Deadpool. She's got basically two Deadpool as well. Yeah. Deadpool, I guess, makes her laugh or whatever.
I can see that.
Deadpool wants to do with her too. Now, here's the interesting thing: if you watch Deadpool 2, he's trying to kill himself the entire movie. He finally thinks he's dying, and she's like, "It's not time yet."
Oh, right.
I was like, are they saying that his girlfriend all along was the personification of death?
Right. But then he goes back in time and changes that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. She could be that same character for Thanos.
True.
Yeah, I don't know what got us on that subject. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But his ability to regenerate is at the highest of highs. Compared to Wolverine's, like, you can take Wolverine out, from my understanding, with an antimanium bullet for, like, the skull.
Yeah.
Like, he got shot once and that killed his memory, but I think if you get enough shots in there, it's possible to kill him. You just got to do a lot of stuff. I think you got to take out his pituitary gland or something like that. It's not easy to do.
Well,
Hulk has one of the highest too.
Right.
Regeneration abilities.
Well,
those three out the gate.
How he killed Deathstrike in 2, that's probably how you could kill him. You just shove him full of adamantium. He just becomes a statue.
Kind of almost drowned her, yeah.
That sucked. I thought that character was interesting. I was like, damn it, because they have history. They, in the comics, I think, in the cartoon, they had history. And maybe they kind of teased that. I'm not sure, but...
Oh, she's supposed to be Lady Deathstrike?
Yes.
Deathstrike's a weird-looking chick. And
I know, she's like cybernetic, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I
But
mean...
I guess they wanted to make it, like, sell on screen better.
I guess, yeah. Well, that's the thing. This, the first X-Men movie, it put these characters in the real world, basically. It toned down the costumes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you had the black leather costumes because back then they were afraid to show any color for these heroes. And look at Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Superman was probably the last one they did that they were like all up on Front Street with his color scheme. You could count the Flash TV show, I guess, but live action wise, they were trying to just, the whole 90s was all about leather, the Matrix. And yeah, you had these costumes. They had a little color in them, but not much. They also poked fun at the, Wolverine's costume.
The yellow suit. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's in the jet, that was,
would you prefer yellow spandex?
Yeah, that was a cool nod. And then he flipped him off with his claw. That was interesting. But yeah, this movie was basically the first comic book movie that treated the world very seriously, you could say. That opening scene in the concentration camp when we meet Magnito as a boy getting taken away from his parents and then his powers exposed.
Oh, yeah. That's First Class?
Well, they explore more in First Class. Like, they basically touch on afterwards, after that scene, how he was experimented on and all that. But the first X-Men movie, it just ends with him bending the hell out of that gate. And then it goes into the present day, in the near future, they say. I mean, that opening scene was just crazy. Like, you never really saw that before with a superhero movie. And, it was a big risk because you could really depress the hell out of people, but it really made you feel for Magnito. Like, he isn't just a simple cartoon villain, there's depth in there. And
there's layers to him, yeah.
They even show his tattoo from the concentration camp, as an adult. His wrist is exposed and you can see it. So you understand his whole wanting to, get even with humanity. I mean, he's like a double minority, really. He was cast out because he was Jewish, and then now he's cast out because he's a mutant. So you have that whole complex of things. It's really very interesting what they did with that. And I love the X-Men cartoon. That's how I first became aware of the X-Men, was through that cartoon. And I loved it. I played the Sega Genesis game. I love that game. And so I didn't really know much about the characters. All I thought Wolverine could do was just the claws. So when that first scene where Sabretooth just knocks the hell out of him with a tree, I think, I didn't think he could, regenerate or, he could heal himself. I had no idea he had that power. So it shows you how much I knew. With Wolverine, how Sabretooth was just slamming things on him. And what was the other... There was something else. Oh, well, he went through the damn windshield when he was with Rogue. The tree fell. Like, all that setup was cool with him fighting, and they called him the Wolverine. Like, and what's funny is Jackman, his body would go through a rocky type of change throughout this whole series. He was not in shape much in that first movie, and then he just started gradually getting bigger and bigger. It's really cool it's funny to see that first movie. It's just so different, but still same performance. He owns that character, and he played that character for, I can't remember when Logan came out, but at least 15 years, I think he played that character, which is, I think, the longest anyone has ever played a character like that on screen.
Yeah.
And he almost wasn't Wolverine. He wasn't the first choice. Doug Ray Scott was, he was the Mission Impossible 2 villain, and he chose to do that movie instead of X-Men. His loss, but yeah, they had to bring Jackman in, and Jackman he was doing a play at the time. He's very skinny, and he was an unknown actor. And he was much taller than the character, which we know. And so, he had to really catch up quick for this movie. But I mean, just discovered him, basically. I didn't know of him before this. And Patrick Stewart, he was just Captain Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek Next Generation. So him playing Professor X was like perfect casting. He was He was pretty.
I think that was perfect.
Yeah, he was pretty well known. And then Ian McKellen, I kind of knew of him. He was kind of a character actor in the popular crowds. I know him and Stewart were both Shakespearean actors. Before this movie, I didn't know really much of Ian McKellen. But yeah, he played Magnito. He did a great job with that, of course. And this was right before The Lord of the Rings, which, he became extremely famous for playing Gandalf. So this was, this was just right before his career boomed, and at such a, I think him and Stewart, I think, were probably pushing 60. It's crazy to hit your stride when you're that weathered, or however you want to say it, without diminishing them, old. It was a cool movie. Halle Berry was probably the biggest star, I think, that was in that film at the time.
Put Hugh Jackman on the scene.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I think this was the only time Halle Berry tried to have an accent was Storm, and they just totally did away with it trying in the other films.
You can make her American.
That's what they pretty much did. You got the villains Toad and Sabretooth and Mystique, which was Rebecca Romaine Stamos at the time, played Mystique. Really cool creature, popular creature. They pretty much retconned her in the new trilogy of X-Men films. She's more of a hero, but she was a total villain in this. And it was really cool makeup, what they did. Like most makeup, they improve it for the sequels and such. So there is there's a little change between this film and the next film. But yeah, with Toad, Sabretooth, he had that cool dynamic. I think it was Ray Park, who played Toad. He was also Darth Maul. There's that scene with him and Halle Berry. They're on the Statue of Liberty, which is kind of I think it was a low budget ending for a film like this. Statue of Liberty, welcoming immigrants. It was just kind of a nice backdrop to what the conflict was, have everything, Liberty Island, have everything take place there. It was cool. We got, James Marsden, I think is his name. He's a good actor. He's just was in that Sonic the Hedgehog movie. He's playing Cyclops.
Yeah.
He's definitely unknown at the time. Yeah.
I think they kind of underused him. As
Cyclops. For sure.
Cyclops they just made him seem like he's a bitter guy the whole time. And Cyclops is like a great leader, tactician. He's really, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not as bitter as...
Yeah, he came off like a little boy, and...
Well, even in the other one where they made him younger, different actor, it's still like Cyclops is still kind of like this bitter dude.
Right.
In my opinion. I'm like, he's not. He's just... that's my girl. I'm going to look after my girl just like most men would.
Him and Wolverine should be on the same level as they were in the cartoon and the comics, I think. They should be about the same, even though Wolverine is ageless, but they should be about the same look and age, I think, because he's got to be a leader. So
I think Wolverine looks a little, maybe a hint older.
Yeah, because James Marsden was only in his 20s, I think, and Jackman's probably in his 30s.
Wolverine's older than Professor X.
Right. But like look wise, him and Scott Summers, Cyclops, I think him and Wolverine should look like they're the same age. Kind of like, so it's not like Wolverine talks down to him because he's young, It doesn't have that look to it. I think that's what they should do when they casted it in again.
I get where you're coming from. I was saying, like, I just think that they should just both look like they're in their primes.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. They're more like in the prime of their life, like, whereas, like, Wolverine is in his prime for probably like 50 years.
And that's a bad thing. Last Stand, that pissed me off how they did away with Cyclops. That was so weak. That character in the comics took on so much loss and pain, and he lost Jean in the movie, and he's just freaking mopey, whiny baby, which I get, but it's like, pull yourself up, dude. You're a leader of a team. You got to go kick some ass.
Excellent, yeah.
Like, use that anger and kick some ass. But no, he just fucking drinking and motorbiking. And it could have also been at the time, since Singer dropped out of doing 3 and he did Superman Returns, James Marsden was in that movie. So maybe that was just kind of like, hey, guys, I can't really be in this movie, too. So how about we just kill me off? I don't know. Who knows what happens, but...
He was hurting, Josh. Yeah,
I guess. Oh, yeah. He's hurting too much. Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, And then, but I would say out of the Fox, because basically we're talking about the Fox series of X-Men. Out of all of them, the best, if we're not counting Deadpool as an X-Men per se, the best is Logan.
For sure. For sure. I mean,
it's a beautiful movie. It just so happens to be a comic book movie.
Yeah, and I think that's something they're not going to do this time around, Disney. I think they're not going to have Wolverine be the center of attention. I think they kind of overdid that, but I did love Logan. I just thought all the X-Men films, it was like, you know what I mean? It was all about Wolverine pretty much, which I get, but you never got that. I will say this about the Dark Phoenix, which a lot of people talk shit about. There's really good team ups in that film. I think everyone's showcasing their powers. It's something you always wanted to see. Unfortunately, the movie isn't written the best, but it's not a terrible movie. It's not terrible. It's not MCU level greatness, but I think they should have not done the Dark Phoenix storyline again. It's better than Last Stand, I think. So that's what I want to see. I want to see more of a team up. We didn't really have that with the first 3 films, you know. I didn't feel like we did anyway.
I'm curious to see how they're going to integrate the movies.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
How they integrate the ones, like, for example, like how, okay, so for example, the original battle in New York with the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Or with the X-Men.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, to save Earth, you know. So I'm curious to see how they're going to integrate it. I think it's going to be something to do with the Scarlet Witch. I'm pretty confident it's going to be that.
It could.
Between Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man, because Scarlet Witch, one of the most famous comic book issues is the one called House of M. And the House of M is basically, because her ability is reality warp, or it could be the Eternals movie.
They're doing the Eternals, but also the next Doctor Strange film is the Multiverse of Madness, and she's in that film. So I could definitely see her, maybe all these other worlds, maybe she merges them, and that's how you get the X-Men. Or maybe after the snap, how half the population disappeared.
Wait for the gene. Yeah.
Maybe Professor X realized now is the time to start a team, you know, not make it as they've been existing for a long time, but they just started out after the snap happened. So they had...
Well, I heard a theory that actually the X-Men have been there all along, but Professor X has wiped the memories of all their existence.
That would be something you could do. Yeah, he could put
He's that powerful, you know?
Yeah, like the whole compound, you could have them, you know, all of a sudden it appears like Wakanda, you know, something like that, except it's through the mind. You can't see it. It's not like technology. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do. It's going to be super interesting what they do, but I will
say Wanda is powered by the Infinity Stone, the Reality Stone.
Yeah.
So like how Thanos was able to change the reality of nowhere in the movie, she has that ability. That's why she is the one that came the closest to King and Thanos' butt in the movie.
It's true.
Because she's powered by stone.
Yeah, because we got a taste of that in Ultron. Although some of it didn't make sense, so you know, maybe it wasn't supposed to. But I didn't understand. I guess I understood Cap's vision, and then I didn't. I don't know. It was really strange. But yeah, overall, you got to give it to this original X-Men film. You know, it really started things. I mean, obviously Blade came out before it. You could say that started it too, because after basically we had Batman going strong, and then after Batman and Robin, it was dead. Like there was no really any comic book films I could think of right now that were, you know, that big anyway. Blade was huge though when that dropped, and I think that helped.
Well, the comic book cinema ideas changed and morphed so much, because I think Blade was like, hey, we're going to take this serious.
Rated R,
so we're gonna keep it in a world where it's like like this could happen in our world, or how would it happen as well, instead of like, you know, sprucing up the like the spandex, the capes, all that other stuff. They didn't go into the cheesiness of it, and that would fit well in like the 80s. It would fit well in the 90s to an extent, but definitely in the 80s, 70s, stuff like that. But people were looking for more mature content.
Sure.
Because I think Blade was, until for a while there, was like one of the more, it might have been like the biggest grossing R-rated comic book movie. I mean, and then Deadpool came after. Joker's the biggest, technically comic book movie, rated R movie of all time.
They tried to pin some of those recent films that were rated R, like Logan, as like the first rated R comic book movie, and everyone was like, "Hey, Blade, remember Blade?"
Yeah, Blade is the gateway. He's, without that first original Blade, I don't know if we've had any of these films where we have that character and how they did that movie. And that movie, based on, like, I looked at the history of it, there's a lot of improvisation, like a lot of improv.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like Wesley Snipes made up the line on the fly that said, like when he kills Deacon Frost.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. That was a good line.
Yeah.
I like that line.
So that's then, but he came, like, a lot of stuff that they were doing, he was making it up on the fly.
Right.
He was like, hey, let's try this angle, and because he understands martial arts too. He's a martial artist.
Right.
So there's a combination of so many things. That movie made it, because they did a Punisher's movie.
Yes.
Was that like 98?
Dolph Lundgren.
97?
No, actually, I think that was 89.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren, and then I'm saying they did another one with Marvel. John Travolta's like a mob boss.
Yes. Well, yeah, because that's what happened. Like, you had Blade, and then you had XMen, and then you had Spider-Man, and then I think we had Daredevil, and then that Punisher came out. I'm sure it came out after Spider-Man, because I know they're gradually building their whole, not universe at the time.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Like this was like the first boom of comic book films Marvel was doing, and they were not connected. They were just on their own. And so it was Kevin Feige's first venture into producing these. So it's like basically things he learned to do and not to do. So by the time we get to the MCU, he's perfected it, like with Iron Man and all that. So Iron Man was the first wave of a new regime of Marvel Studios themselves before they got bought by Disney, but they were creating a whole universe because they pretty much did one-offs of all their characters and sequels to those characters. You had the Hulk, which I think was a big flop. That was a very different movie, very artsy.
Dolph Lundgren was 1987.
Oh, wow, 87. Okay, 89, yeah.
89.
I remember.
And then there was Warzone in 2008.
Mm-hmm. And then the series on Netflix.
Well, she's my favorite friend, Castle. But yeah.
I remember being in a comic book shop, and my cousin pointed at the cassette, I think, of Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. And he said, "Hey, that's the Punisher movie." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Where's the skull?" Because he didn't have the damn skull. He's just all in black leather biker attire. But aside from that, that would be kind of cool if they could go in and CG a skull on his shirt now. But there's not enough people wanting that probably. Or, to put the money into it. But
I've never seen it. Did you like it?
It's not bad. It's very 80s R, so it's gory as hell and brutal. I've watched some clips recently. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not your your average comic book movie we've come to know. It was a reason it went direct to video, but I think it's worth checking out. Maybe we'll do a commentary on it. It's not terrible. And Logan's not too bad as a Punisher. Louis Gossett Jr.'s in it. But getting back to X-Men, we owe a lot to that. We owe a lot to Blade. But X-Men, I think, really set off, like, okay, let's go. Let's go with Spider-Man. Because, if you can tackle the X-Men, you can probably tackle Spider-Man, which thankfully they didn't give Spider-Man a whole leather attire. They actually went for the color. And I think that's something we definitely want when they reboot the X-Men again. I want color. I want the blue and yellow suits. We get that tease now and then with these last films, and First Class got us very close to that. I do appreciate that. I just got tired of the all leather look, you know. Yeah, I remember seeing this preview at the time. I was excited. I was psyched, and saw it in the theater, I think, a couple times. Good film, holds up. I need to revisit it for sure. Definitely one to check out and own, I would say, you know, proudly own. I'd get the first one, I'd get the second one. Don't bother with Last Stand. That one pissed me off so much. I think Last Stand is the worst one. Wolverine Origins.
Like you don't like Last Stand. I would think Wolverine's worse than Last Stand.
Well, actually, when Bryan Singer, who directed the first X-Men, which was, you know, a big risk for him because he had no idea if this was going to be received well or not. You know, he did The Usual Suspects, so this was like kind of out of his comfort zone in many ways. But he did approach it like a serious project, not to sell toys. You know, that's what basically happened to Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. The studio wanted to sell toys over quality, basically, with their film. So anyway, Bryan Singer, he took a break after X2. And he didn't come back till Days of Future Past, which was an excellent return, I thought. I love the ending. Like, it really got you back to the 2000s X-Men, like we kind of, you know, were introduced to. And he did Apocalypse after that, which it's pretty good. It's not great, but it's I don't think any of those films after he came back, or even First Class, are as bad.
Well, the thing about Apocalypse is I actually like a lot of the dialogue, but the execution of the film overall, dialogue, the ideas that they're trying to convey in that movie, like of Apocalypse, and they don't make Apocalypse look good. Like, he should look like this Hulk, jacked figure,
like he did. Yeah, like he did when Professor X visited him in a dream at that fight at the end when he got huge. That was probably something we need. Yeah,
well, no, I'm saying like big, muscular,
right, yeah,
powerful.
Well, I think
not just tall.
If they didn't make that film until after the Infinity War thing, this goes the same for Justice League, which I think they're going to fix. But like, look at Thanos. Like, that is what you gotta go for. You have to go for something like that.
9 feet, 10 feet tall, dude. Yeah.
And he's all CG. You have the actor.
But maybe they didn't have the technology then.
Yeah. Well, no. Actually, it was getting there. Of course, Disney has a lot of money, so they were able to develop it a lot, and they pretty much perfected it. The first few, if you look at Guardians, he doesn't look too great in Guardians, I don't think. They did improve him a lot, so they've come a long way. So I think, you know, when they tackle these characters again, you're going to get that larger than life look, and it'll work. It's not going to look, you know, like video game graphics or anything. It's going to look excellent.
Right.
So, but I did like they got good talent for these films. Oscar Isaac's playing him. That was a great casting. Unfortunately, you know, like, yeah, they should have made him bigger and all that. But I like how Singer placed historical elements in his films, his X-Men films, you know, because you had the concentration camp in the first X-Men, and then Days of Future Past, you had the whole Nixon, you know, and they even touched on his tapes. He grabs the tapes to go into the bunker. And then First Class, they did it around the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. So, you know, there's historical backdrops in Singer's films pretty much. And although Blade was a serious film, it didn't have any historical backdrops, you could say. You know what I mean? Now, when they get to Dracula, I guess you could, of course, that's fictional historical backdrop, but Singer definitely, I think, put that into a comic book film for the first time. You know, these characters came from a place we're familiar with, or they interacted with a situation we're familiar with, you know, so it's been unique that way. But yeah, 20 years, man, I can't believe it's been that long. It's crazy. But yeah, I definitely will.
That is a really long.
It is.
Really long time.
I know. I was a puppy. I think I was 18. Yeah, I was 18.
Comic book movies. I was like, who doesn't like comic book movies?
Well,
it seems like they're becoming the standard anyways.
they were just considered kind of goofy before this X-Men tackled serious issues, and Blade, you could say, tackled serious issues as well. I remember when Blade came out, they were like, this is the next Batman, you know, which I was excited about because I love that 89 Batman. Batman Returns was actually the first movie I was disappointed at, I think, ever. I remember getting out of the theater and I was just so bummed. I just was like, what the hell was this? I was so excited for it, you know. The hype was so big, you know, and that might have been the other thing because I wasn't able to see the first one in the theater. But yeah, I remember seeing the second one, and I had the McDonald's toys and all that. They had the cool Happy Meal, you know, it was all Batman themed. But yeah, that movie, it's better now, but I still think that 89 Keaton is just excellent. And I think Blade definitely had that same tone to it. It didn't have like a gothic world or anything, but it had that, it had that darkness to it, I guess you could say, even though Blade was rated R. But speaking of Batman, we have a lot of news on Batman himself. Matt Reeves, who's currently doing the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, which is on hold right now. He
doesn't want to get jacked. He doesn't want to wait for it.
I think that was blown out of proportion. I think he was honestly messing with the interviewer. I think he's, you know, that suit puts on a lot of bulk as well. I think that was kind of blown out of proportions. I think he's going to be in pretty good shape. But the funny thing is, if you look at Keaton, he wasn't even close to being in shape, really. He was just a skinny dude. And, you know, they jacked him up in that suit, basically. But I think he's going to be a good Batman. I hope so. You know, there's so many possibilities now. You know, we got with the Justice League Snyder cut, Affleck could return somehow as Batman. There's all these possibilities, but Matt Reeves, he did the latest Planet of the Apes films. I don't know if you've caught those, Juan. Those were pretty good, and so yeah, he's doing the Batman, which is expected to release October 1st, 2021 so far. But part of his deal with Warner Brothers is he's also developing a spin-off show called Gotham PD with HBO Max. HBO Max just launched. I don't know if you've seen HBO Max or heard about it, but they just launched a couple months back.
It's like a demand service type deal.
Yeah, it's like streaming. So the good news is if you already have HBO on demand, I think that's what it's called, you get Max automatically. Yeah, HBO Max, they're going to have this spin-off series eventually. This is the plan for now anyway, because they still have to finish the Batman. But this will be good because it'll set up the Gotham he wants to portray in his films. So it's like long form storytelling, kind of based on the Gotham Central comic book series. So, you know, you just deal with the cops. It's basically how Gotham should have been. You know, you leave Batman out of it. You just dealing with corruption in Gotham, and you have a precinct. You're getting to know the people within it. So I think it's going to be pretty damn cool. He wants to do a multi-platform telling of the Batman universe, so it probably won't stop here at Gotham PD. He's probably going to do other things. What's interesting about this Gotham PD show is they're going to have the writer Terrence Winter. He wrote for Boardwalk Empire. I haven't seen that series, but I heard it's really good. So yeah, I think this is going to be really cool. Does this interest you? You know, this crime drama that just features the Gotham citizens.
Gotham, like the crappiest city in fictional history.
Yeah, like they're just going to they're going to do what Gotham should have done. You know, Gotham in the beginning, I think, tried to not involve Batman, and then eventually they had to involve him, which I was fearing, you know. Although it was nice to see some villains live action form we never seen before. But yeah, Gotham PD, like go to the source, which is Gotham Central, the comic book series. That's pretty much, I think, the direction they want to go. They just want to explore that. I think that's a really good idea because it helps build the universe, and these characters can show up in other Batman films, and you'll know who they are. Because I think Reeves wants to do a trilogy of his Batman films, so you have all these possibilities. But yeah, he's got an overall deal. He's got a big deal with Warner Brothers right now, so this is part of it, and I think it's gonna be pretty damn exciting. But yeah, moving on, of course, other news that involves Batman, The Flash. Many rumors of, you know, are they going to do a Flashpoint? Or are they going to just do a regular an original story or something else. But yeah, this movie's kind of been in development hell for a bit. Ezra Miller is still starring as the Flash.
He's been petitioning for the Flashpoint movie.
Yes, actually, this project has been through a lot of directors and writers, and I think it's because of him. And hopefully it's for good reasons if that's what he's pushing for, because I think that is very smart on his part. But yeah, he's put his foot down.
Have you seen it?
Flashpoint?
Have you seen Flashpoint?
Oh, yeah.
The animated version.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
One of my favorite animated comic book movies ever.
It's wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it introduced so many cool concepts, but I just applaud Ezra Miller for putting his foot down and not budging, it seems like. He's like, they must love him enough to, deal with him and still want him to be on a part of the project. He had that incident recently, and I think it was Iceland or something. Did you see that? He supposedly choked somebody and brought them to the ground. It was like this lady who was a fan or something. It's very strange. The only witness to it was like a bartender, and I think the police, there was no arrest made or a report made. The cops did show up, I think, but if you look at the video, which I'm shocked a lot of people don't seem to be reporting on this, and I'm not trying to excuse any violence on someone. Like, if he actually did this, he probably should be recasted, because that's a problem. But if you look at the video, right, it's slowed down. He grabs her by the neck, and it just looks like a casual, like, goofing off thing. And he takes her to the ground, but when they slow it down, he puts her on a object, and it looks like a mattress. He didn't do it really fast either. So it just seems to me like they were just goofing off and people took it the wrong way, or this bartender did. Who knows? This guy probably wants, to have his 15 minutes of fame or just blackmail or money. I don't know. But if you look at the video, he puts her down on the mattress. I swear he does. And there hasn't been really much talk since then. So they probably squashed it. I think he's, he's a little too goofy for the Flash for me, but maybe they'll fix that a little bit if they do the Flashpoint, which I hope they will, because I think it's such a popular concept. I think it'd be a great way to introduce the Flash, because it deals with like how he became the Flash. His mom died, and the whole point is he wanted to change that, and by changing that, he causes this ripple effect in the universe. And you got all these crazy concepts, like Bruce Wayne died in the alley, not his parents. Okay, yeah, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, but Martha Wayne becomes the Joker.
Oh, I've heard of that story.
That's Flashpoint. That's Flashpoint, because that's how she dealt with Bruce's death. She just basically went insane. And when they showed in the Flashpoint, she's crying and she starts laughing. And I think she's got Bruce's blood on her face, like a Joker smile. And that's just how she lost it. And then they show Thomas Wayne beating the shit out of the shooter. Like, he probably beat him to death, because Thomas Wayne Batman kills people.
Hardcore.
Yeah, he is not. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to kill you. He's rocking 2 guns, I think. I mean, that's what's funny about this whole introduction. You have this other version of Harley Quinn he's fighting, and he's just shooting at her.
Yo-Yo. That character's name is Yo-Yo.
Yeah, and that's Harley Quinn, right? Isn't it?
It's the equivalent.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just shooting at her. And then he kicks her off a building, and Cyborg rescues her.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so.
Thomas will kill you.
You shouldn't laugh at it, but it was just funny, because it's like, wow. Because usually I don't accept my Batman any different, but for some reason I love this concept of Thomas Wayne being Batman. It finally made him more interesting, just because you just never.
It made us invest in Thomas Wayne.
Yes, you just never knew. More. It was just a cool idea, like an Elseworlds tale. Like, what if Bruce Wayne died and his parents survived? Like, what would happen? What would change? And so Jeffrey Dean Morgan was cast as Thomas Wayne for Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman. And I really hope he gets to play that Batman. It could happen, especially because he's getting old. So I'm worried about it. Timing. Go ahead.
I have a question for you, Josh.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about, hypothetically, obviously, we're not those people in those positions, but how do you feel like some director saying, you know what? I'm just going to mimic this entire animation movie in the grand scheme of things. I'm just going to mimic it. Because the one thing that I really like about Flashpoint is the war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons.
Yes.
Like that right there, and just how the whole like human race is in peril. You don't even really see any humans.
Right.
You see only meta-humans. And just that war between, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and that love situation. Because I still don't, I don't know if it was a triangle or was Diane or Wonder Woman in love with the same woman, or was she in love with him?
Love with him. He cheated on Mara with her, and Mara confronted Wonder Woman, and then Wonder Woman beheaded her. And so that's what started it. Yeah, that's a...
Mira don't want those problems.
It's such a... That itself is such a big concept to tackle. You have so many things. You even have Steve Trevor around, who I think Wonder Woman, like in this world, he doesn't like Wonder Woman. He doesn't find her attractive or anything, I guess. I don't know, but he like basically... Isn't
that who she hangs? Sorry, spoilers.
No, that's her.
Sorry, spoilers.
It is. Yeah, it is. I don't know. See, I think I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, an actual adaptation, but how they do it with movies, it's like they kind of borrow from a lot of different things and try to put something original in, probably because we've already seen this before. It exists in comic book form and movie form. And if they made a movie of it, would people want to see it? Would they pay to see it, knowing how it ends and all that? So I'm thinking they're going to do a lot of taking away from that, but they're also going to change it up a little bit. And I say that because Michael Keaton is rumored to be returning as Batman for this movie.
Yeah.
So to bring him in, and Thomas Wayne, how do you do that? Unless he's going to be Thomas Wayne, I don't know, but I really hope
they said Batman Beyond.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's part of the rumor is he's going to sign a big deal and to be in multiple films. So you have the possibilities of him showing up in a Batman Beyond movie. Multiverse. Or a Batgirl movie. They could just retcon the Batman Beyond concept and make it a Batgirl movie. Or he could do a third Burton movie. That's possible. You could bring back Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. You can have that whole Burton verse. So there's all kinds of possibilities what they could do.
Do you like Burton? Do you like the Burton verse?
I like the 89 Batman. I'm not crazy about the Batman Returns. I do like some of it. Obviously, I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I think that's one of the best things that ever happened. Penguin, not really a fan of that version of Penguin. I kind of like the idea of Penguin being like Bruce Wayne, but evil. He has the money and stuff. So if you look, both films are so different. Like Burton, I think Burton wasn't interested in coming back unless he made his own Batman film. And that's why it got really gothic and just kind of weird, I do appreciate some of it, but the 89 to me was, I love that. Like, let's go back to that, I love that Batmobile. I know it got destroyed, but maybe we can get one similar. Who knows? But it would be awesome to see Keaton in the suit again. Probably won't be the exact suit we know of, but the rumor is he will be like a Nick Fury-like character. He'll show up in multiple films. So there's all kinds of possibilities of him coming on. I don't know how they're going to put him into the Flashpoint, but there's a lot of universes. CW actually introduced the Earth 89, they call it, and Keaton is in that Earth. So everything's connected there, and Ezra Miller did show up in the Flashpoint as well. So this could involve
the Flash of that universe. Yep.
This could finally involve every property, basically. The CW shows, everything. So there's so much possibility. It's so much cramming. I don't think they're going to be able to give us that Atlantean and Amazon battle like we want to see. That movie probably could be done on its own, I'd say, because it's just such a big concept. I don't know.
Do you think the universe would expand into, like, I guess we can, for lack of a better word, the Joker-verse with the Arthur Fleck, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker?
Yeah.
Like, because in that universe, it's the most real of them all. It's the most
Yeah,
because they're gonna make a part 2.
Well, yeah, and I'm interested. I'm
heard.
interested in seeing a Batman in his universe. What that's like. I would say it's like Thomas Wayne Batman, to be honest.
But it can't be that Batman.
No.
In that movie,
Right.
Bruce Wayne is like 10, 11 years old.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. No. Like what I'm saying is like, you know how the Joker is portrayed in that film. Like, would they portray Batman how we know him, or would they change him up a little bit? You know, would they make it different? You know, not like make him a young Batman. Like, I think the sequel would go years into the future, but yeah, in that world, what is that? What is Batman in that world? You know, what is he like given how the Joker was made and all that stuff? And the argument to the Joker is, did any of that happen? Because in the end, he's in a psych ward. So was it all in his mind? I mean, it gets really trippy into all the theories on that one, but that could definitely be considered, a certain Earth, if you will. Yeah, that's the best way they can connect everything. Like, all this exists and that's how they can coexist with standalone films versus films that have continuity to them. So,
well, I could put. I wonder if Patman, I call him Patman. Patman,
yeah,
and Joker, will they be linked together, or are they just not connected at all? Because that's the new Batman. Because right now you're gonna have 3 Batmans. Because Ben Affleck came back,
right?
Based on what I learned. So you're gonna have 3 Batmen, and then maybe it'd be kind of cool to have them all kind of like interacting
together.
With each other and like, oh yeah, if they really want to impress me, bring Dale.
I don't know if they will get Bale, because I think Bale kind of likes to keep it like the Nolan verse.
Like a cameo.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think that's supposedly that's their second choice if they can't get Keaton. But I think it's going to happen. People want to see it so bad, and he definitely likes the character. I saw him speak at a graduation.
Keaton loves it.
He does. He spoke at a graduation ceremony years back, and the final word he gave everyone is, just remember, I'm Batman. And everyone just lost it. They just loved it. I mean, it's so funny because when he was first cast as Batman, people hated it. They hated that casting. They just hated it. And if the internet was around, oh my gosh, it would have been a nightmare. So it goes to show you, like, just judge the final product, not who's cast, I guess, even though sometimes it's obviously not good casting. I take it you're excited for Keaton's return.
Yeah, I mean, prior to Bale, he was my favorite Batman.
Yeah.
So he's a hard number 2.
Sure.
In live action film. I mean, the voice of Batman for years is probably the best Batman in my opinion.
He's the only one that really tried to disguise it. No other Batman actors did until Bale came along. But I liked how Bale did his voice in Begins. I do not like how he did it after Begins. It was too Clint Eastwood. Just, I didn't like it. It was just like, the only thing that turned me off about those films. It was just kind of silly. But I liked how Affleck's embraced technology with his voice. He had a voice changer. Like, that was cool to me. And, I do like Affleck's portrayal. I think Keaton might be better, but I love Affleck's suit in BVS. That I finally was happy to see the gray and the black together and the huge ass bat symbol, even though I do miss the bullseye one Keaton had, which they could bring back somehow, some way. But yeah, I'm just happy we're finally getting not just a variety of actors playing Batman, which we've had, but we're also getting a variety of suits. It's not just all black suit. And I really long for the day when we get the blue and gray. That would be awesome, I think. Because I know how they did the black hid some imperfections in the suit, they made, because it was a rubber suit. Also, it's at night. He blends in with the night. But if you want to truly embrace the comics, like, give him that blue cowl and cape, and it doesn't matter anymore. It's like, I mean, I think we're kind of getting away from the real world. We're still using the real world aspects, but we're also, like, look at the Avengers and stuff. Captain America, like, they went there. They totally went there with the colors. And I think that's the new regime with these movies. I mean, look at The Flash. He was decked out in all red, and the new Aquaman suit, which is amazing. I really like that. I'm happy they made that suit that way because I was worried it was just going to be too grim, you know. But I'm excited to see Keaton back. I think it'd be really cool. And he still looks pretty, like, he's in good shape still for his age and all that. And I think he could really do, like I said, there's a lot of possibilities you could use him for. You know, you could do your Batman Beyond movie if you want. There's just endless possibilities. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited for that. And it's a bummer he never made a third Batman film before this, because that's what happened. I think Burton quit, and then Keaton met with Joel Schumacher, the new director, and they just he just didn't like connect. What he didn't. Yeah, he didn't connect. Yeah, which, to remind everyone, you know, R.I.P. Joel Schumacher. He's a great director, you know. Yeah, he did put the Batman franchise to death for a bit, but it's not entirely his fault. The studio was just wanting to sell toys over, you know, making a great film. And if Batman and Robin was successful, he was going to make a darker one. That was his goal. He was going to go back to a darker tone film. Aside from the Batman franchise, he directed countless other movies that were great. Yeah, I think he did A Time to Kill. I even like DC Cab. Do you remember DC Cab?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. T? Yeah, it's kind of a movie people laugh at, but I actually like it. I think there's a lot of cool things about, you know, the enjoyment. Like, yeah, not everyone wants to be a cab driver. I think that was the biggest thing people made fun of. There's like a kid in the movie who was like, I want to be a cab driver when I grow up, you know? But it's like, it's just a fun movie. Like Mr. T, you know, it's funny when they get the upgrades. I forgot how they got the money to upgrade their cab company, but you know, Mr. T, like it was an 80s Mr. T for sure. You know, he had the cartoon series. He's trying to keep kids off drugs, you know, the battle for drug-free country and all that. There's, you know, in the DC Cab movie, basically all these drug dealers are pulling up in nice cars and kids are like loving the flashiness of it. And Mr. T longs for that. And so when they get an upgrade when the cab company gets more money and they all upgrade their cars, Mr. T gets he gets his whole car blinged out and like gold and shit. And he pulls up and the kids are just like, they're now idolizing him, you know? So it's kind of a cool moment with that. And there's a lot of other aspects, but yeah, Joel Schumacher, I really do appreciate what he did. He was very talented. The Batman films, I did like Batman Forever over Returns, but clearly looking back, it was definitely going to more of a selling toys, being more cartoony with the character.
So you're saying a Kilmer Batman?
Yeah.
Like that? Oh, okay.
I liked that one. That was refreshing at the time. It really was, because I did not like Returns much, and I was just disappointed. And then Forever came, and you had Robin introduced in it, and that was exciting, which is funny because Marlon Wayans was going to be Robin in Keaton's third Batman film. And Schumacher decided to recast Robin. You know, he didn't want Marlon Wayans playing him, which that was a big risk, you know, because Marlon Wayans wasn't really known to be serious, you know, and maybe they were going to try and, well, if it was a Burton film, it was going to be serious. So, you know, not to say Marlon Wayans can't be serious, but I think that was ballsy casting for then, because, you know, I would think you would have casted like someone more attractive, like Shawn Wayans, you know, maybe he was too bulky. I don't know, but. Funny thing is, the 89 Batman, they were going to do Robin as well, but they had Kiefer Sutherland cast as Robin for that film, and they decided not to do it. There's storyboards out there, but it's really interesting, the whole history. But who knows, you know, with this Flashpoint, maybe we'll see Marlon Wayans as Robin. I don't know. Or Nightwing, because he's old now, so he'd probably be Nightwing.
Yeah, we need some Robins.
Yeah, we do. That's one of the bad things about Batman and Robin not being successful enough, is I think they were going to do a Nightwing movie, and yeah, you had Batgirl and all this stuff, but Batgirl wasn't wearing her mask. She just didn't look like Batgirl. And, you know, Alicia Silverstone, again, you could bring her back, I guess. I mean, she wasn't that great, I don't think, as a character, but it's not necessarily her fault or Schumacher's fault. You know, it's all about writing and agenda, and the studio just, you know, they were not wanting to make a good film. You know, they just wanted to sell toys, you know, and that's what they did pretty much. But R.I.P. Joel Schumacher. You know, he made a lot of good films. Go out and check them out. If you really hate his Batman films, still give him a shot. You know, he was talented.
Is he your favorite superhero, Josh?
Batman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's my favorite.
Okay.
He's my favorite. I like Superman. I pretty much like them all. But yeah, Batman was my first hero I really liked. And I had the cartoon. Actually, the first Batman I was introduced to, other than the cartoon maybe, was Adam West. Because I didn't see the first Batman in the theater. My cousin did. And I remember staying over at his house. And I forgot what channel, but they were all of a sudden replaying all the Batman 66 shows. I got to watch pretty much all of them. And that was my first introduction to goofy Batman, you know. But yeah, when I finally got to see, yeah. And I remember when 89 came out finally on video, you know, VHS for everybody out there, Dolls, you know, grocery store around here that no longer exists. There was a standee in the store, and I was begging my dad to buy me the movie, and he never would, which I get it because they were like $30 back then. They're about the same price now, but back then I was probably a big commitment, you know, to spend $30 on. So yeah, he never did that, but eventually I got the movie and I was excited. I was thrilled. I watched it over and over again, and I had the toys, and it was a good time. So I think you can make a good movie and have good toys with it. You know, you shouldn't just target selling toys. But I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. When that broke about Keaton, I was thrilled. And yeah, I know this is old news, but we're finally talking about it. So yeah, very excited. Dream come true. Really hoped it would happen. Felt like it would happen, honestly, just because of the resurgence of other characters we've seen. Looks like Flash is a go again, and hopefully it's gonna be, I think, 2022 when we see it. So of course you gotta wait on when they can make movies again. So
true.
That's the only bad thing. And yeah, before we recorded, we were talking about how, you know, movie theaters, they're playing old movies now, trying to get people in, you know, because there's not really any new movies coming out. Everything's been pushed back. We might not even get the next James Bond film until mid 2021, I think. So yeah, it's crazy time, man. It is. But I think we're going to recover from this. It's fine. We were due, you know, it happens every 100 years. We get a sickness like this. So we're going to be fine. It's just, it'll be a gradual return to the way we were living, you know, because 100 years ago, you didn't really have, you know, movies weren't like a big thing, I don't think. And you definitely didn't have TV or anything. So
I'm not trying to be funny, slightly on a different subject, but I wonder if like the next like viruses and like a computer virus, like starts integrating with technology.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, in the next 100 years, you mean?
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah,
so like there's a virus going through, you know, our data systems or something. Now it wouldn't be so much biological; it'd be more like technological.
Well, and that's something we could talk about on the Super Unknown. You know, like
yeah, I'm just saying in general.
No, I know, but like if you think about it, we have other countries that hack into us supposedly, right? So that's like the new warfare. Mm-hmm. Like you can take out all these citizens by a click of a button, or turn them against. If you can mind control people, you know, turn them against, or feed them images that aren't true. So I mean, you know, we have that problem now with the internet. We don't know what's true, what's not true. You know, not everyone does research, so they jump on a certain like headline, like this is it right here, bam. So it's just it's crazy times we live in. That's all. And we've all seen so many movies that tackle it and read things that tackle it, and it seems to be all coming true now. It's scary now, not really entertaining. But yeah, I could see 100 years from now us having to deal with our implants, if you will, that make us superior. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you could, they could hack into your arm and you could punch yourself to death, you know? I don't know, man. There's all kinds of crazy shit they could do. It's crazy. I mean, it's all possible. It's all possible, but the Matrix, maybe the Matrix exists. Who knows? Some people think so. But
no, I only just say that because I'm always thinking like things in general upgrade themselves. So I was gonna say like, you know, just
you're thinking outside the box. You know, that's definitely a possibility. 100 years from now. I mean, we've tackled this before, but if we went 100 years into the past, you know, it was probably hard to imagine most of the things we have now, even though some people did imagine some of the things we have. So good on them. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for the show. We can end it with recommending something to check out. I'll just go ahead and start Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. Check that out. 6 episodes right now, and they'll be dropping 6 more in September. So yeah, it's a good return for that series. I don't know if you probably watched that a lot growing up, didn't you, Juan?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I was never that deep into it. Actually, I recently watched on Netflix and finished a series called Devilman Crybaby. And it's an anime, but it's like I think it came out 2018. But there's an original Asian story of Devilman, and it's in English, so it's English dub, so you guys are safe. You don't want to do subtitles, but that came out, I want to say in the 80s or 70s or something like that. But man, it's something like, it's a little graphic, so it's not like something I would suggest towards your children,
Right.
but it's got some adult content.
Sure.
But I just haven't seen something like that in a long time. It's
Sure.
very grabbed my attention a whole different way. It's just it's about good and evil. It's about like it's kind of scary because it's like some of the stuff that we go through in society now.
Mm-hmm.
How bleak and dark it could get. How it's
Sure.
just crazy.
Absolutely.
And when you watch it from start to finish, like every episode, yeah, it's just something else. So it's called Devilman Crybaby.
Okay, Devilman Crybaby.
It's really good, if you ask me. Really good.
Excellent. Anything else you'd like to recommend?
That's just the one off the top of my head. Other than that, I haven't started it. I watched the Altered Carbon, like, animated episode.
Really?
Not too long ago. Yeah, so they have an animated episode, and then they have season 2. So I'm going to do season 2 next. I just haven't gotten around to it.
I got to check that
But
show
the
out.
animated episodes, it's pretty entertaining.
Nice. Well, we'll say Unsolved Mysteries, the new one, is not as creepy as the first original. The one that Robert Stack hosted, that creeped me out as a kid because it was like on Sunday night. My parents, sometimes I was with my grandparents. We'd sit down and watch that, and then they were like, "Go to bed." And I remember I was so scared of this one episode. This dude was filming a house on fire in the woods, and he was just like, yeah, that's cool. Burn, and something like that. Just scared the shit out of me because I thought this dude would be outside my window, you know, filming and burning us alive. And yeah, it was just kind of a weird time. But the new one, the music isn't as creepy and there's no host, but it's still a good show. It still creeped my oldest child out. And I told her, like, that music from the original was a lot more creepier than this. And I played it for her.
So no music and no host.
There is music. It's just more of a, it's not.
No, I'm saying the original. I'm just talking about the original music.
Oh, yeah, the original. Yeah, the original had that music, you know, the synthesizer music. I don't know if that's how you would say it, but it was just really creepy. It was a good score. And you had Robert Stack who hosted, and he had that creepy voice, and he was the man in the trench coat. Like, you have the music. It's toned down a little bit. But if you go to Hulu, you can watch the original. And I played the first episode for my daughter, the original. That creeped her out. The new one is not as creepy. But, I mean, some of the stories are they are creepy. And they do offer, like, a lot of cool updates to the show. So
right.
It's still good. It's a good watch. Check it out. First 6 episodes are out, and they're about an hour each, I'd say. So yeah, it's different, but it's I think it's a good different. I think it's fine. So yeah, definitely check that out. And The Old Guard, that's supposed to be really good right now. I need to check that out. Charlize Theron movie on Netflix. She's like leader of I don't know if you call them zombies. I'd probably immortal mercenaries. So the preview's pretty damn cool. I they all get gunned down and they start getting back up, and the people who gun them down are just like, what's going on? And obviously they get their asses kicked, I'm sure. We could also recommend our other shows in the network here, Field of Geeks Network. We've got Star Trek Mission Report. I do that with Steve. Super Unknown. I do that with Juan and Dave. That's explores mysteries and true crime, all kinds of weirdness we try to tackle. And like Juan said earlier, we do it with humor mostly, unless it's very serious. And obviously we're respectful of that. The Power of Knowledge is going to be relaunched soon. That's with Juan and Paul. And that show's about personal enlightenment, would you say, Juan? Kind of health directed?
Sure. Just investigating things, more with I never really want to say an analytical point of view, just more information. So
right.
Just like the name is, the power of knowledge, just information that we accumulate and then we just kind of regurgitate it through our own interpretations of it, I guess.
Right. That's good. That's good. And we also do Field of Geeks at the Movies, which is a commentary show. We also have done discussion as well without the commentary. But yeah, all that's out there available for free. It's always free. So check it out. My wife and I think, are going to launch a new show soon called What Are We Watching Now? We'll be watching movies,
Nice.
TV. Yeah. So I think it'll be a nice bonding show for us, and we might do it in video. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. So more to come from that. We just watched Fantastic Four, the original movie. I think it came out in 2005. So that was like our first movie we saw as a couple. Well, we weren't actually a couple. It was kind of like a blind date, but we're going to tackle that for our first episode, I think. And it should be fun and exciting. So she's kind of new at this whole podcast thing, although she's been on the Super Unknown, I think, at least once. So she did a good job, I thought. So yeah, just trying to put more variety out there. And we just had a special episode we did. We interviewed Tyrell Christie, who just did the Miles Spider-Man fan film. That's through Lost Utopia YouTube channel. They have Facebook as well. It's a free film. All his films are free. He's very good. He's an award-winning filmmaker, and he represents Iowa pretty damn well. So yeah, I don't know if you've checked out the Miles Spider-Man fan film yet, Juan, but I think you'll like it. It's really good, and we got to have him on and ask him some questions. There's a scene in it where Miles is changing, I think, into his Spider-Man costume, and it's like shot in the alleyway next to Fong's Pizza, downtown Des Moines. So a lot of cool sites they shot around, and they blend Des Moines into New York in their way, and it works pretty damn well. You can't really tell. Check that out. Anything else, Juan, before we go?
No, that's all. Just last words from me is just like, I hope everyone's remaining safe, healthy, out there, and
Sure.
go
Absolutely.
and check out some of these shows. And why not, if you are at home, enjoy them with your family.
Yeah.
Bring
Absolutely.
your bonding together.
Yeah.
If anything, look at the positives of things and know that it could help bring closer to the people you give it
Sure.
damn about.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's basically all I have to say.
My wife and I, we've shown since we've been in quarantine, we showed the kids all the Back to Future movies. They loved them. That was exciting. And recently I showed them Uncle Buck. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're trying to show them old movies. We should have done this before, but we all get caught up in routines, and this whole thing's kind of put a whole wrench through it. And for it's done a lot of good, and it's bad obviously, but most part we're bonding more as a family. I think everyone's bonding more with people they love and are near, especially if you're quarantining with somebody. It's a good time to take that in, and like I said, we'll get through this, so it's all going to be good, and we'll be back in person in no time. Like I said, we'll go outside if we have to. It'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thanks, Juan, for being on. Appreciate it. And yeah,
No problem, man.
we all will be back. I'm Josh.
I'm Juan.
Take care.